Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Unity of Lehigh Valley. I'm Anthony Young. I'm the music director, and we are delighted you have joined us today. We look forward to sharing our music and our message and our talk with you today, and lots of good things. So I hope you're ready to be open and receptive. We are here for each other. We are here to build ourselves up together. And we are here for the greater good of all. Last week we learned a new song called The Greater Good of All. I'm hoping you still remember it. It was pretty easy. So I'm going to ask you to sing along with me. And here we go. For the greater good of all, greater good of all, greater good of all. I am here for the greater good of all, greater good of all. You are here for the greater good of all, greater good of all, greater good of all. You are here for the greater good of all, greater good of all. We are here for the greater good of all, greater good of all, greater good of all. We are here for the greater good of all, greater good of all, greater good of all, greater good of all.
Good morning to you. As we move forward in our opening prayer, I want to just signify that, as you know, this is Lent, and we are in the middle of the time called Lent. And Lent is the season before Easter, starting with Ash Wednesday and going up through Holy Week, which is Palm Sunday, and then Maundy, Tuesday, Good Friday, and then Easter Sunday. And so right now, where we are in Lent is about in the middle. And this is the time when we are asked to forgive, to release, and to renew. And so with that, I wanted to bring some joy into the releasing and the renewing in our opening prayer by letting you know, and I got this from several ministers, priests, and rabbis, that Lent, our role during Lent, is to cooperate with God's grace and initiatives, in a sense to relax in the presence of God rather than force the pace with our own efforts. And so with that in mind, and that in mind is to relax in the presence of God as we are doing now in this opening prayer, rather than force the pace with our own efforts. I am going to ask that you do, as we open our time together with prayer, come fully present. Have no distractions. Do not be elsewhere. Be here in this moment as I give and receive a series of release and renewals that are part of our work during this time of Lent, and they will be our opening prayer for this morning. And as there are quite a few, I ask that you be present, and you will resonate with the one or two release and renewals that are yours to work on now as you move forward in prayer. And so I begin. I release any belief in limitation. I renew my sense of possibility. I release a habit of judging others. I renew my commitment to see the divine in all beings. I release doubt and indecision, and I renew my divine power of wisdom. I release negative thinking, and I renew my positive expectations. I release discontent. I renew my gratitude in all things. I release apathy, and I renew my zeal and enthusiasm. I release the fear of lack. I renew my awareness of abundance in my life. I release any sense of worry. I renew my faith in divine order. I release thoughts of competition. I renew my willingness to cooperate. I release any need to complain. I renew my outlook through appreciation. I release old feelings, a possible bitterness, and I renew inner peace by forgiving. I release thoughts of illness. I renew my openness to the healing power of spirit. I release anger, and I renew my patience. I release any sense of discouragement. I renew my hope with the power of affirmative prayer. I release my darkest fears. I renew the strength and courage of my heart. I release feelings of loneliness. I renew my connection with spirit, self, and with others. I release and I renew. I do this now. I do this with declaration. I do this in affirmation of my oneness in spirit. Thanks be to God. Amen.
Amen. Yes, thank you, Reverend Sandy. Thank you. Can you imagine if you do all those releasing and you actually renew all those things? What would it be like? Are you ready and brave enough to do that? Today we're going to sing If I Were Brave. This is our opening song. Please join with me. What would I do if I knew that I could not fail? If I believed, would the wind always fill up my sail? How far would I go? What could I achieve? Trusting the hero in me. If I were brave, I'd walk the razor's edge, where true believers dare to tread. Never lose faith, even when losing my way. What steps would I take today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What if we're all meant to do what we secretly dream? What would you ask if you knew you could have anything? Like the mighty oak sleeps in the heart of a seed, are there miracles in you and me? If I were brave, I'd walk the razor's edge, where true believers dare to tread. Never lose faith, even when losing my way. What step would I take today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? If I refuse to listen to the voice of fear, with the voice of courage whisper in my ear, my ear. If I were brave, I'd walk the razor's edge, where true believers dare to tread, and never lose faith, even when losing my way. What step would I take today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave?
Good morning. Welcome to Unity of Lehigh Valley. My name is Deborah, and I'm delighted to be assisting Rev Sandy Butler and Anthony Young this morning. And we are grateful Spirit has led you here through Facebook. And I'm personally missing all of you. I can't wait to be back in church with you and see everyone's smiling face. And happy early spring to you this week. Our affirmation statements express our unity denominational statement of belief as the vision and mission of Unity of Lehigh Valley. As I introduce each of our affirmative statements, I invite you to consider joining me in speaking the statement aloud. We hope you also share in the vision and mission of this ministry. What Unity believes: there is only one presence, one power, one activity in my life and in the universe, God the good omnipotence. The vision Unity of Lehigh Valley holds for the world. We co-create an awakened world of peace, harmony, and abundance. And the mission that is ours to do. United in love, we provide a positive environment for all people to discover and express their spiritual nature. And now I'll introduce John, who is my spouse, and he'll read the daily word.
Good morning, everybody. The daily word is energy. The energy of divine life renews me. How do I have the focus to achieve my goals? How do I have the strength to carry on through challenging times? How do I have the aptitude to learn, grow, and change when I'm called upon to do new things? At the heart of everything I am called to do is the energy to do it. I am a divine being, and I call upon the power of God within me to channel my energy in deliberate ways. Divine energy is inexhaustible. Unlike my muscles, which can tire, and my mind, which can feel frazzled, the power of God within flows throughout me unimpeded. In prayer, I claim divine energy and imagine it flowing through me with the force of a mighty waterfall. I am grateful for my renewal. Even youths will faint and be weary, and the young will fall exhausted, but those who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. Isaiah 40, verses 30 through 31.
Thank you, John. Thank you. Today we're going to be talking about forgiveness, as you heard from Reverend Sandy. We're looking forward to that coming up. And we're going to talk about making that choice to forgive. And all part of have love. And love is something is our choice. It is our decision. I'm going to ask you to join in as we sing the song, Love is My Decision. Love is my decision. It's up to me to give of my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision, right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to stand on that bridge. Love is my decision. No one else can make me forgive. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision, right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to dance down the road. Love is my decision. No one else can lighten my load. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision, right here and now. My decision, right here and now. Yes, yes it is. And now to share more about that and to encourage us and to build us up, please welcome our dear beloved Reverend Sandy Butler.
Good morning. Hello, everyone. Unity of Lehigh Valley, how lovely to see you. I don't know what the weather is like where you are, but here in Virginia, it is a shockingly beautiful sunny day. And I say shockingly because we've had our share of gray days, as I'm sure you have. After all, it's spring, folks, right? So I'm delighted to be with you this morning. I always am very grateful for the opportunity to co-create with you, which is what we do each and every time we're together. We're actually co-creating through prayer all of the time, and I'm reminding you of that. So when you come to service in particular, whether it be virtual or whether it be right there in the sanctuary, or any other means you have of coming here with us, it's important to remember that whatever we speak about is a mutual co-creation. It's not just you're coming in to listen to Reverend Sandy. Believe it or not, you're working. And some of you will do the heavy lifting, and some of you will think of this as an amusement time. I'm here to say to you, I would hope that you would go for the heavy lifting, because we are on a path, all of us, and we are in each in our own way in different parts on the path, different parts of the road, so to speak. And I probably have said this little ditty to you before, but it's important to remember. As I was crossing a highway, going up a road I use a lot in my neighborhood, there's a grade school that has a marquee out front, and it keeps track of where we are in the school year. And one of the times I passed, I read it, and it wasn't really where we were in the school year. I think it's where we are in life. And especially as it relates to forgiveness, which is what we're going to talk about this morning, what we're going to co-create about this morning. And the marquee said very simply, go the extra mile, get in that lane. It's not very crowded over there. And I thought that, and I've carried that with me since I read it. Sometimes it isn't very crowded in the extra mile lane. It really isn't, because many of us don't necessarily think about going the extra mile. Oh, we may think that we do, but in reality, unless it's convenient for some of us, going the extra mile is something we don't always do. Now, I'm not saying that we have to always do it. I'm saying that if we always think it, if it's in our consciousness, and there comes the demonstration. That's what we're all about when we speak in our way of walking this path. And so let us begin this morning. I entitled this particular talk, It Stops With Me. And that's how I look at forgiveness. It stops with me. And what stops with me? What stops with me is holding on to the past. It stops with me to make the decision, as this lovely song that we just sang says, the choice is up to us, whether we want to stop the suffering in our lives. And for some of us, we are not sure how to do that, and we'll get to that in just a moment, because forgiveness is a process. It isn't a one-time deal. And I also want to make the point, it's not easy. And for some of us, forgiveness about certain things can take a lifetime or not at all. It can take a nanosecond for some of us. It's when we make the decision, no more. It stops with me. I am not going to carry this suffering, this baggage, 1 minute more. And so I bring that front and center, along with the fact that it's not easy, because I want us to understand forgiveness takes as much time as it takes. It is an individualized expression or demonstration of love. And it has nothing to do with those that harmed us or those that betrayed us. It has everything to do with us. And the decision to stop the suffering and to forgive comes from us. Now, I have consulted, as I am wont to do, many of our Unity for Fathers and Mothers. And today I'm consulting Lessons in Truth by Emily Cady, Discover the Power Within, Eric Butterworth, and Jesus Christ Heals. And that is the Fillmore creation, and both Fillmores worked on that. And I bring it to your attention because many of us could use another good read of Jesus Christ Heals. Not to mention these others, but some of you do read these others probably more than you read Jesus Christ Heals. So where am I going with this? What is forgiveness? And let's just see what Jesus and what Emily Cady had to say about forgiveness. With Jesus, most of us are very familiar with Peter asking Jesus in the New Testament about forgiveness. And he couldn't get over the fact that it wasn't a one-time event. How many times, Jesus, do I have to forgive? And you know, many of you know the answer, 70 times 7. In other words, it has nothing to do with the arithmetic. It has to do with, it's a state of consciousness. You forgive and you live in a state of consciousness of forgiveness all the time. And for so many of us, we have believed that forgiveness is a 1 or maybe a 2-time deal. And the deeper the hurt, the harder it is sometimes for us to do the forgiveness, and the pride we take in when we say we've forgiven. And there's a red flag, my friends. When you see the red flag come up of, I'm proud I forgave my so-and-so for such and such, you haven't. Because the pride itself tells us we haven't released the love. We haven't given for. We have not given truly in the Christ nature, in the nature of forgiveness. And so that's why Jesus was making it a very important lesson with Peter and for all of us. When you forgive, you shall be forgiven. It is for you. And it helps us, in fact, it stops us from further carrying the baggage of suffering. And forgiving, according to Emily Cady, is to give for, to give actual good in return for possible evil that has been given. And some of us really have a hard time wrapping our hearts and minds around that. And this is the slippery slope of forgiveness as I see it. We may say, and I've heard people, each time I do a talk or a workshop on forgiveness, I hear someone that says, I have nothing to forgive. I'm good to go. And I would ask that person to say, well, think of the times when you might have said, you know what, I'm glad that happened to them. I'm glad, and here's a simple one. This is a real slippery slope. I'm glad that ref threw him out of the game. He deserved that. Oh, no forgiveness there. And that is a red flag that says, my consciousness is not one of forgiveness. And I always hear the people backing up. Wait, Reverend Sandy, wait. The ref should have thrown him out of the game. And believe me, I'm picking the most mundane example I can. You must have others in your life that are a lot more significant than this. But sometimes it takes the mundane, the ordinary, to make the point. Sure, the fact of the matter is, in your mind, and maybe the mind of those around you, that a person should have been thrown out of the game for whatever foul, whatever the rules say. The point is, you or me concentrated on, I'm glad they threw him out of the game. That was the right thing to do. You see, it doesn't matter whether it was the right or the wrong thing to do. It matters where your consciousness is. That's what matters, folks. Are you in a state of, okay, I get it, might not agree with it, but it's okay, let's move on? I don't know. Only you can ask that. And how about your other relationships with the people in your lives? Are you ready to say, okay, I get that, I don't necessarily agree with it, I'll move on? You see, because that very act of moving on is part of the forgiveness process. So be very mindful. And those of you that have said or said at the outset, I don't have anyone to forgive, and I'm not sure why I'm listening to this talk, I'm going to challenge you folks to pay the closest attention. Most of us know what we have in our lives that we would like to forgive. We might not be able to. And for many of us, the idea that forgiveness is a process is like, whoa, that's new news. I thought I just had to come to it. No, you have to work on it, and you have to make a commitment. You do. You make the choice. And if you don't want to, don't. I have a favorite expression that I use, and some people have picked up on it, and it's go ahead and do that. Choose to or not. And it's in the or not that I ask you to kind of chuckle, because the or not is fine. But don't expect me or others to care that you have chosen or not. You see, because or not is usually done with a self-righteousness that is not done with the third eye, with seeing the divine in all, especially in yourself. Let's go back to forgiveness and what it is and what it isn't. What forgiveness is a way of helping us release the past. And I use the past because most of what we have to forgive has happened in our past. And we carry it around, and it's energy. And here's the key, folks, that some folks have never heard before or never got. When you carry around that negative energy of non-forgiveness, that is put into and taints what you want to create in your future and in your present. You see, because you haven't released that energy, it's there and it's toxic. And unless you're willing to release that energy of unforgiveness, it will continue to influence what you create now and in your future. And that, my friends, is a bummer. Do you want that to taint what it is you're trying to create in your future? Think about it. Think about our families. Think about the legacy of suffering that we have carried one generation to another. Think about your children and your grandchildren. I have friends who have said once they realize that they're actually, that negative energy they carry is carried forward in how they act and interact with their family members who may have had nothing to do with the original hurt. It stops them in their tracks because you understand clearly that it is you that makes the decision to cease and desist when you're ready or not. So that is also part of why we say so many times, why is this happening to me again? Well, when you have the information or the understanding, oh, I'm carrying around this unforgiveness from years and years ago, or last week, or yesterday, and it's gnawing at me. And then it comes up again in a different format with a different dress on. And you say, why is this happening to me again? And once you get the context, the worldview of forgiveness and why it is so important to use forgiveness to release the past and to release our suffering, you understand why it shows up again. Why is that teacher back with the same message? Guess why? That's rhetorical. Okay, when you realize that you have this negative behavior and you do give it up, you make room for even more abundance than you have or have ever known in your life. You have made space. And you cannot hold two thoughts at one time. I know you know this. But if you are in an unforgiveness state, you are holding the state or the thought of being unforgiving. Unforgiving. And what does unforgiving look like? It looks like anger. It looks like resentment. It looks like worry. It looks like doubt. All of those are part of unforgiveness. So it makes forgiveness very, very important. And I'm reading from another author that I like, and I used to use him a lot, but I haven't in a while. And he says, you block the flow of good through your life because your spiritual energy has been blocked itself. And if you desire to realize true abundance, you must be prepared to release all of your negative energy. And it isn't just some, it's all. So for those of you that say, I have nothing to forgive, let me assure you, forgiveness is a lifetime work. And so let me bring it back one more time to forgiveness is not easy. Forgiveness is not sentimental. There's nothing sentimental about forgiveness. It's heavy lifting, it's hard work, and it can have a deep, lasting, long breath that seems to suck all your energy out. And then when you exhale and then you inhale, on the inhale, you take in more abundance, more love than you have ever known. So forgiveness is a way of releasing whatever hurts you might have. It is huge. And right now, in this time of Lent, forgiveness is the word of truth. And I chose the topic of forgiveness as the word of truth, which is Lent. And I know some of you don't celebrate Lent and maybe are not into Lent, but I know most of us know about forgiveness. So I thought that it would be appropriate. So let me also say this. Resentment is the opposite of forgiveness. And some folks never put the idea of resentment as being the opposite of forgiveness. I always thought early on, and even in my ministry, well, anger, that was the opposite of forgiveness, anger. And then I realized when I started to include resentment, ooh, My, isn't that a slippery slope word? Resentments. I can resent a whole lot of things and never really knew that I had to forgive them in order to make way for the new and even more abundance in my life. So that is part of what the nature of forgiveness is greatly misunderstood. And I want to go over what forgiveness is not so that you maybe are not confused. Forgiveness is not forgetting. In other words, forgiveness isn't forgetting what may have happened to you, whatever the action was. And remember, when we're talking about forgiveness, folks, it's also forgiveness about something that you may have done to another. So forgiveness is not about forgetting. It's not about denying that it happened. And it's not about excusing that it happened. And sometimes folks get in this state about forgiveness when they hear the word, that it's all mushy, that it's sentimental, that it just is supposed to cancel out whatever happened. No, flip it on its ear. Forgiveness is difficult. It takes time. It is a process, and it does not deny anything about what might have happened. What it does in the process is it's unconditional, for starters. It's not reconciliation. It's not making the bad good somehow. And it is something that you do for yourself. That's the other part of the misunderstanding about forgiveness. People think that we forgive to help the person that we're forgiving. They'll be better after I forgive them. Put that logic away, please. It's not so. All right? Forgiveness has to do with your choice. The most important reason to forgive is because forgiveness is good for you. I'm going to say that again. The most important reason to forgive is because forgiveness is for you. Forgiveness supports your own spiritual growth and frees you from what we call the tyranny of the past. That's the benefits, if you will. Those are the benefits of forgiveness. And when you say, well, okay, maybe I can go there. What is it that I have to forgive? Could you give me any suggestions? Sure, I'll give you some suggestions. If you can't think of them yourself or you don't know them yourself, how about your parents? How about something in your childhood? How about your family or your own children presently? Your mate or your ex-spouse? Your own past behaviors and choices. Oh, there's a good one. There's a good one. Also, we have our job and the circumstances around our job. But let's go back to forgiveness of oneself. Because as I see it, that's the heart of the matter. Love at every level is the prerequisite for true abundance. I don't know whether you believe that or not, but that's the heart of forgiving yourself. And it is the question, do you love yourself? Can you forgive yourself for some choices that you've made in the past that you're not particularly happy about, and you're still carrying the same luggage with you? You haven't unpacked, as we like to say. Forgiveness, self-love, and true abundance are inextricably bound together. To love yourself completely and unconditionally, you must practice forgiveness. And to know true abundance, you must love yourself enough to allow it into your life. Oh, what does that mean? And here is what David Owen Ritz, whose material I like but haven't used in a while, says. You are the person most urgently needing your own forgiveness. Gosh, Reverend Sandy, I was doing great going along here with forgiving others. You know, I was starting to get on board with what forgiveness was about. But when you say that I'm the one that most urgently needs forgiveness, I thought I dealt with all of that one way or another. And David Owen Ritz also says, and you cannot truly prosper until you begin to find the presence of God within yourself and your life. And let's face it, we're all working on that. I mean, I don't know of anyone, never met anyone who has actually found that constant. but we are working on it, and that's what counts. So you see, that's the other element of forgiveness. Are you willing to make the choice to forgive? Are you willing to say, this stops now? And I say to you, I hope so, because you have new information. It doesn't matter whether you've heard some of this before. The way you're hearing it now is the way you and I are co-creating it, as well as everyone else on this call and in this both virtual and real space. Because we are in the capital R reality when we are in our spiritual beings. And that's where the seeds of creativity come. All right, and David Owen Ritz lastly says, one of the ways you can learn to love and respect yourself in a greater way is to choose consciously to do the things that make you feel good about yourself. Okay, in what areas of our lives do we do things that don't make us feel good about ourselves? They might for the moment, but he's talking about consistently. You see, it's a choice. Do I do this? Do I do the exercise? Do I eat right? Or do I just list them off and say, I should do that? Think about that. It is back to being a choice. And he says, you can perform no greater act of self-love than to release your past, embrace your highest potential, and allow yourself to become the person God intended you to be. And so I'm going to finally close this up with the 4 steps, the how-to, and some of you will hurry to write this down. Please don't. Please don't. Try and absorb them right here and right now. And maybe you don't want to. It's an or not situation. The first thing is discovery. Before you can forgive, you must be aware of what happened and the emotional pain it may have caused you. Some of us have blocked all that out. It's in some big box someplace, and we don't really want to take it out. I'm assuming that you want the freedom, the abundance that comes with forgiving and releasing. So discovery is important. What is it that you have to forgive or that you'd like to forgive? Number 2 is make the decision. Pretty simple. Are you going to work on this? Are you really going to work on this? Because forgiveness begins when you decide you no longer want to carry negative feelings. And 3, change your mind. And this is the big one. And you know, we work on this in Unity all the time. This is the real work of forgiveness, if you will. To release your feelings, you must change how you think about the matter and the people involved. Try to see a higher perspective or perhaps understand the driving force behind the hurtful incident. Often others did not really act simply to hurt you. Rather, they were acting on their own negative feelings or misguided understanding. Try to see beyond the people and situations involved to the hidden truth of the matter. My friends, that is seeing with the eyes of the divine. That is seeing through your own divinity, the divinity of God in what happened, if you want to be specific about a particular incident or people involved, or not. And then the last step is move on. Okay? The secret to forgiveness is to begin to appreciate how you've grown spiritually as a result of your circumstances. When you have that kind of awareness, you can take your new wisdom and you can move on. And many of us would prefer to sit in the drama and not move on. Why? Because we know that drama. We know what's in it. It's comfortable. I don't want to do the work. And that's fine. That's your choice. That's your decision. So I'm going to leave you with all of that. And that's a lot. And you have the time now in Lent. You have the time now in the pandemic to consider all these things and more. And it is my great hope, my blessing, my affirmation and declaration that you do this, that you take a look and you choose your highest and your best. God bless you. And now we will move into a meditation that is a little maybe different than we've done before. So please, if you will, let us do that. And this is a guided visual meditation. Be with it. Just Close your eyes, look out the window, and follow the breath. The breath of life, the in and the out. And when you feel centered, imagine yourself in a safe place. And at the center of your safe space is a box with many drawers. The drawers are labeled. The inscriptions show hurts you have yet to forgive. Choose a drawer and open it. Rolled or folded or crumpled up inside are all the thoughts and feelings the incident evokes. You can choose to empty out this drawer, bring your hurt into the light, and examine it. Unfold the resentment you may have felt and set it aside. Smooth out the ache and let it drift up into the sunlight and disappear. If any feeling seems too big or too unbearable, set it aside to look at it later. When the drawer is empty, sit for a moment with it on your lap, and then remove the label from this particular drawer. As the label comes off, you will see the drawer turn to sand. The wind will sweep it away. You don't need it anymore. There will be no space left for that hurt in the box. That space is not needed anymore. If there are more drawers still to be emptied, you can repeat this now or later. But you are complete now. You are complete in this time of guidance, of meditation, of being still in the God of your being. And you know that you know that you know. You are whole, you are one, you are complete. For a moment, just a precious moment, you embrace that in the silence. Thank you, sweet Spirit. As we move into our day, we acknowledge the eternal, infinite love of God in and through us now. We are your grateful people. We stand in the love and in the light of God eternal. And we pray through and in the nature of the Christ in all. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen.
Wow, Reverend Sandy, that was awesome. You speak such words of wisdom. Thank you so very much.
Welcome.
Now is the time in our service when we have the opportunity to share our gifts of love. We are a tithing community, and we tithe 10% of our income every month to Unity. Unity Eastern Region, and Unity Worldwide Ministries. For the month of February, our local tithe went to Second Harvest Food Bank in the Lehigh Valley. So we bless the gifts we hold in our hands by affirming together. The activity of Spirit through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am grateful. And now is time for our announcements. The core value we celebrate for the month of March is community. Experiencing ourselves as connected, we honor each part of the greater whole in thoughts, words, and deeds. Our prayer chaplains continue to be active while we are social distancing and not able to gather together. Whether you have a joy to multiply or a sorrow to divide, our prayer chaplains join you in prayer. If you have a desire to speak with a chaplain, please contact Karen in the office. And Rev Sandy is also available for your prayer support. Please email unitylv@rcn.com to schedule a call. You can also call 1-800-NOW-PRAY to reach a prayer partner at Silent Unity. Our gratitudes for today. Thank you, Reverend Sandy, for your uplifting message today. Reverend Sandy will be holding online classes on the consciousness of abundance. We sent out an online survey to inquire as to the best days to hold these classes. If you have not responded to our survey, please see the Wednesday email for the link. And we value your input and would love to hear your feedback. Thank you to Peggy Shannon for being the platform assistant last week. And thank you to John Ptolemy for reading the Daily Word today. If you are grateful for something about ULV or have something to celebrate and you'd like to see it in the weekly email, just send a note to the office by Tuesday of each week. And I want to thank the group here that is in the background that does this every week. You guys rock. Let me tell you, you are the glue to this church right now. So without you, we would be falling apart. So thank you for your time and efforts. Please join us next Sunday. I think it'll be springtime by then, March 21st, as we welcome back Reverend Julie Vance. Unity of Lehigh Valley continues to incur routine bills, and yes, they keep coming, even while we are not meeting in our sanctuary. Your continued gifts assure the ongoing work that we do and maintaining our building to return to. There is a donate button on the top navigation bar of our website that you can touch and press it, where you can pay through PayPal and mail a check, or you can mail a check directly to ULV or set up a weekly or monthly payment from your bank. Please contact the office if you have questions on how to get your donation to the church. We'll even come and pick it up. I'm kidding. Are you looking for more connection this time? At this time, Rick Stober is inviting you to join him on his daily Zoom coherence call at 11:30 each morning. Feel free to join once a week or every day, and details on how to join the meeting are in the weekly email. So we are now allowing 5 congregants into the sanctuary for our Sunday services as we transition slowly into reopening Unity of Lehigh Valley. Please see the Wednesday email for further details and how to reserve your seat. And let me tell you, coming back into the sanctuary is so refreshing, such an uplift. So please, if Spirit moves you to come back to church, please do. A group of people from Unity of Lehigh Valley are participating together in a book podcast club that meets weekly on Monday nights. Each week, we discuss chapters from a selected book or podcast, and we select content that has a spiritual flavor. Please see the Wednesday email for details on how to join this podcast and the topic each week. We are also inviting congregants to record themselves on their phone reading of the daily word. Please contact the office at unitylv@rcn.com if you'd like to participate. Details are in the weekly email, and please contact Karen in the office to be placed on the schedule. If you do not receive the daily word, Karen will send that text to you for that day. Or you can come here like John did and read it in church. Our monthly fellowship meeting via Zoom is today with Rev Sandy from 11:15 to 11:45 via Zoom. And the Zoom link is in the Wednesday email. We would love to have you join us, love to see your smiling faces. If there are any new people who are watching our live stream, we encourage you to join our fellowship as well so we can meet you too. We are in the midst of seeking our permanent senior minister. Please come into our church soon. Let's join together to affirm our right and perfect minister will appear to us easily. Filled with the spirit of divine love and wisdom, we are guided and directed in our thoughts, our words, and our actions as we move towards the employment of the right minister for the highest good of this ministry, and so it is. Thank you, God. And now?
Yes, thank you, Deborah.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. We affirm that, yes. And now we've come to the end. Hope you learned a lot. Hope you remember it. In case you forget, it's on video. You can go on Facebook, you can go on our YouTube channel and re-listen to them. Matter of fact, you can even go back several months ago and listen to other broadcasts too. It's all there. It's a resource you can always use. And now we're going to ask you just to join together as we come and lift our hearts, lift our spirits, lift our minds together as we sing our peace song, Let There Be Peace on Earth. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, brothers and sisters all are we. Let me walk with my family in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. May peace prevail in the hearts and minds of all beings. And so it is. Amen, and so it is. Namaste.